So, folks, there is this idea that there is some kind of competent plan guiding the different parts of the Trump administration forward. And, they're all pursuing it with vim and vigor and, some degree of like knowledgeability and care. And I really, really, really want to emphasize that these people are colossal nitwits. They are boorish beyond belief. They are, morons. And I think that is really emphasized in some of the interviews that have been coming out recently and some of the statements that they themselves just kind of offer to the media and the public. And it's like, frankly, it's bizarre. And I know that part of it is that they feel like they have enough power to just not care. But another part of it is that they genuinely are just dumb. And that's not to say that they're not dangerous. They are. But the idiocy is good for us. Like it gives us an opportunity window that we wouldn't otherwise have if they were competent. And the other aspect that we really need to hammer home here is that the dumbness, it's obvious. Like even if conservatives see it, they're kind of like, oh shit, he's dumb as fuck. It is kind of one of those radicalizing elements that the more we get out there and make it public, the better it is for us. Because remember, and this is very important, the only person in the Republican space that can get away consistently with being both dumb and incompetent and loud is Donald Trump. That doesn't really apply to anybody else in the administration, right? So here is RFK Jr. In an interview with Caitlin Collins. I just want to play this minute-long clip here because it is, I think you'll get the gist.
Let me ask you about something you said when you were on Capitol Hill this week. You were asked about the lead crisis in Milwaukee schools. You told Congress, quote, "We have a team on the ground in Milwaukee." The city said that's not true and that they are still not getting the help that they want from the CDC. Do you know who is on the ground? Who were you under the impression?
The CDC is giving them assistance with their labs, their analytics, and advice.
They just said one technician was on the ground.
This guy went out and said that they had a team on the ground in Milwaukee. And the city of Milwaukee had to be like, there's literally no one here. Well, the CDC is helping them. They said one technician showed up. Like it's genuinely like, I think you can all understand, even if you are biased towards conservatism, right? Even if you are a conservative at heart, dyed in the wool, you can understand that, like, that's just a lie. That's just a lie. And if one technician showed up to, like, fix and test your entire city's water supply because of suspected lead poisoning, you would also understand that that's maybe not going to cut it. Like there's, yeah, he was the John Wick of technicians. He's the John Wick of technicians. He can test all of the water. He knows exactly what he's doing. Like it's insane. Like people understand that's not really happening.
I can't tell you how many are on the ground in the city of Milwaukee, but
Then why lie? Why lie?
I can tell you we are there.
But you don't know how many.
I can't tell you how many right now.
So
we are there. So the city of Milwaukee doesn't know how many people are on the ground in Milwaukee. They just have like they live goggles on, and all they see are what like liberal propaganda signs, and they just can't see the team that is sent to test their water somehow. I don't understand. Yeah, it's classified.
So, this is from the Milwaukee Health Commissioner and Senator Tammy Baldwin. Yeah.
You could hear me read my other.
If I just have to point out, right? if your defense of, well, is essentially we have 62,000 employees, it's impossible for me to keep tabs on all of them. Maybe you're not cut out to be like in charge of an entire department in the presidential cabinet. You know, like if that's too big of a job for you, then you shouldn't be doing what you're doing. Like this man shouldn't be in charge of making like a goddamn peanut butter sandwich. Like, dude would, I don't know, like sexually assault the peanut butter.
Exchanges with Tammy Baldwin and anyway, I'm not necessarily believing what Senator Baldwin.
So you're disputing and saying that there are more than one CDC employees.
Like I said, we have 62.
Oh, sorry, if you guys didn't understand my reference, RFK Jr. has admitted to sexually assaulting a housekeeper. He's an admitted rapist, and we just apparently just collectively decided that's not a big deal. He even like issued a public apology for doing it. Like he admitted doing it. Like it's not a secret. It's not like, oh, this is an allegation that's unsubstantiated. Like, no, he admitted to doing it, and we just like collectively decided that's fine. He did what to a housekeeper? He sexually assaulted her.
2,000 employees. I'm not sure how many we have deployed to Milwaukee. I'm happy to check and give you that information.
And are you committed to? Let me ask you about something.
I don't know about this Milwaukee place. Are you have you checked to see if Milwaukee is lying about that? What an insane argument. RFK Jr. texts apology to sexual assault accuser. Like, this was last year, okay? Yeah, apologized to a former family babysitter who accused him of sexual assault. And, accused her of groping her on several occasions in the late 1990s. I have no memory of the incident, but I apologize sincerely for everything I ever did that made you feel uncomfortable, or anything I did that or said that offended you or hurt your feelings. I never intended you any harm. If I hurt you, it was inadvertent. I feel badly for doing so. What an interesting thing to say. The Vanity Fair story, by the way, that included the sexual assault allegations, included a number of allegations about him eating dog meat during a trip abroad, several extramarital affairs, and vigorously defended a cousin who was convicted of murdering a 15-year-old girl. Interesting. Also, he blamed the sexual assaults on having a very rambunctious youth as a 40-year-old man. So, I have a lot of disdain for RFK Jr. and the fact that we just kind of like, as a society, just decided like, that's fine. He should be in charge of public health for some reason. Yeah, he's just an itty bitty 40-year-old birthday boy. How dare you? How dare you point out something that he did? Now, unfortunately, or perhaps fortunately, since we are opposing this administration, that is not the only example of just extraordinary incompetence on display. I want to, for this next part, I want to ask you guys a serious question. Want to see some responses in chat. If you were out of the blue, completely unprepared, tapped to head a huge federal agency, right? And you didn't know anything about how to run it, like just knew nothing at all. What's maybe the number one thing you would not say during your opening speech to the people who work for you? What's maybe like one of the top things on that list? What would you not say to your new employees? Call them stupid. That's a good one. Don't listen to me. I had to Google this. Okay. Yep. What's the criteria? Yeah. All valid inputs here.
Keep thinking about Trump and Vance saying they are eating your pets. I can't stop myself from picturing RFK Jr. in my head when I think about that.
I mean, RFK Jr. literally beheaded a dead whale and like took it back to his family home while his wife and children screamed and cried in the car while vomiting at the smell. So like, that's a valid thing to picture in your head when you think about that. So remember when I talked about what wouldn't you say if you were tapped to head an agency? Meet Frank Bisignano. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. I'm just going to call him Frank. Meet Frank, everybody. Frank was just appointed as the head of the Social Security Administration, and wouldn't you know it, he has absolutely no idea what the fuck he's doing. And, that's not just me saying that. That is Frank saying it. I'm going to read a quote here from his opening speech to, his employees. He gave a 90-minute unscripted speech to all of his new workers. And this is just a small quote from it. I'm like, well, what am I gonna do? So I'm Googling Social Security. That's one of my great skills. I'm one of the great Googlers on the East Coast. And I just gotta stop you there, Frank, because that is maybe one of the worst things you could possibly tell lifelong employees of the Social Security Administration. They don't want to know how good of a Googler you are. The fact that you have to Google what Social Security is maybe a horrifying sign of how utterly unprepared you are for this job. Yeah, I mean, literally, when you go up there and you talk about how you have no qualifications whatsoever, except you are a certified
Google debunkers,
then, maybe that's a bad sign. Maybe you shouldn't have accepted the job. Just throwing that out there. Because it's just... The incompetence is endemic to this administration. It's not going to get any better here, guys. That can't be real. It has to be a bit. Not a bit. He said that to his employees. Also, and I do want to submit this to all of you with a huge boulder of salt. But one of the things that has been apparently going on behind the scenes is that everyone in the current administration is now virulently full of hatred against Elon Musk. And that's a result of all of you doing fine work with the Tesla takedown protests and essentially turning him into a political poison that, even with his vast wealth reserves, is unable to buy elections for them. And one of the funniest things I've read lately is from the New Republic. And the story is just titled, "Fuck You, Entire Trump Team Hated Elon Musk, Damning Report Reveals." And this is maybe one of the funniest goddamn things. This incompetent buffoon has made literally everyone who should like him absolutely hate his guts. It's maybe... I just want to read a few snippets out of this because it's funny as hell. All right. I do think that he's still going to be involved to some degrees. And I read a story the other day about how he's continuing to speak on different topics. He's part of the push behind the white Afrikaner, asylum thing they've got going on, talking about white genocide, whatever. We'll get into that on a new day. But just something real quick. Small tangent. Something to be aware of this white genocide claim is that the term white genocide is, well, understand that typically when we're talking about genocide, we're not talking about white people being genocided, black people being genocided. We're talking about a specific ethnic group being genocided. Just as an FYI, it would be Irish genocide or Swedish genocide, not white genocide. But also, the term white genocide was coined by a notorious neo-Nazi domestic terrorist here in America who served a 190-year sentence until he died for driving the getaway car in an assassination of a Jewish radio host. And he's also the guy who invented the 14 words of white supremacy, along with the 88 precepts. And if you've ever heard 1488, this is the guy who came up with that. And his name is David Lane. So just be aware that is where a lot of this rhetoric comes from around white genocide that the Trump administration is throwing around. Just a small tangent that is incredibly relevant to what's happening today. That being said, Elon seems to be on the ropes here in regards to the current administration, right? The article's incredible. Here's a part of it, right? Musk and Besant exploded at each other in April when Musk attempted to force through his pick to lead the IRS. Gary Shapley behind Besant's back. Musk eventually lost this battle. Shapley lasted less than 72 hours before Besant tapped Michael Fackender to replace him. Quote, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, unquote. A typically mild-mannered Besant was heard shouting after Musk as they charged down the halls of the West Wing. The fights had started outside the Oval Office. It continued past the Roosevelt Room and toward the Chief of Staff's office, and then barreled around the corner to the National Security Advisor's Warren, The Atlantic reported on Wednesday. Oh, God. In March, Musk walked into what he understood to be an ambush, facing heated backlash from Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Veterans Affairs Secretary Doug Collins, and Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy. Donald Trump had arranged the volatile meeting. Bring them all in here and we'll have at it, Trump said, according to The Atlantic. The advisors were frustrated by what they felt was Musk overstepping into their agencies. Musk's tenure wasn't a total failure, according to a former federal employees. He had managed to force out some of the federal workforce at shutter agencies while traumatizing the employees who remained, The Atlantic reported. But ultimately, his Department of Government Efficiency's Silicon Valley hacking and slashing approach to reshaping the government failed to make bureaucracy more efficient, and some of his haphazardly introduced policies, such as requiring federal employees to submit weekly bullet-pointed progress reports, have quietly fallen by the wayside. He had some missteps in all of these agencies, which would have been fine because everyone acknowledges that when you're moving fast and breaking things, not everything is going to be right. But it's different when you do that and you don't even have the buy-in of the agency you're setting on fire, one outside Trump advisor told The Atlantic. Another quote from that advisor. A different advisor. How many people were fired because they didn't send in their three things a week or whatever the fuck it was? I think that everyone is ready to move on from this part of the administration. And I just want to really emphasize here, like, this level of incompetence is, again, it's not limited to just Elon Musk. It's not limited to just RFK Jr. It is throughout the entire Trump administration. These are all the fuck-ups of Republican society. These are people who are incapable of running things under normal circumstances, which is why they had to cozy up to Donald Trump in the first place, right? And one of the good things, and it's going to lead to bad things that the administration does, obviously, and it already has, and it will continue to do so. However, one of the kind of openings of opportunity we have is that these people are going to spend a lot of time and energy fighting each other. You know, they are going to be scrabbling at each other's throats. And even if Musk is long gone, the knives are going to be out for one another because each one of these people has a very different idea of how things should work. You know, all of these people are out for themselves. Some of them have their pet ideological projects. Some of them have their own personal ideologies. Some of them have, you know, like family interests in different fields or whatever. Like, and they all want to be heard by the president. And they understand that Donald Trump is basically, his brain is mush. Like, they all understand they just have to get to the president first. And, well, then they can probably convince him of what they want to get done. Important to note that the current fascistic movement that is gripping the United States is not being done particularly out of, you know, ideological unity, let's say. Like, we have a bunch of people united in kind of a variety of interests towards consolidating wealth and power, obviously, but usually for the purposes of building their own wealth. It's not necessarily because these people are true believers in a fascistic project. Some of them are. And, like, you know, Matt Miller, or not Matt Miller, what's his name? Stephen Miller. Stephen Miller is one of those ideological fascists, right? And he's also maybe like the most evil person in the current administration. And so I think that one of the things we have to do once Elon is kind of more out of office, I guess, I think we need to shift a lot of our criticism and a lot of our meme machine, like the jokes and the wisecracks. We need to shift them over towards Stephen Miller, because Stephen Miller is a classic fascist in the sense that he has incredibly thin skin. Okay. And not only does he have thin skin, but genuinely, he's incapable of coming across like a real human being. Much like Elon Musk, except that instead of having Elon Musk's kind of cloying desire to be liked, Stephen Miller is just eminently hateable. He is like no normal person who sees Stephen Miller talk about the Trump administration comes away thinking that guy is normal. That guy is totally what a hinged man, you know? Yeah, literally, like I say the words Stephen Miller, and people are like, that bald fuck? That disgusting piece of trash? And that's like, I think those are kind of the sentiments that most people have if you see Stephen Miller string like 4 sentences together, you know? Are you referring to the one that looks like a thumb? Yes. The one that looks like an evil thumb. And so, like, I think that, like, you know, while we should continue to pressure Elon Musk, continue to going to those Tesla takedown events, continue calling him out for his association with the Trump administration, we should also begin pivoting a lot of our emphasis onto Stephen Miller, because Miller has been gross ferratu. I love that. I think that's great. He does look like the disgusting vampire. It's true. Miller's own family apparently described him as a sack of tentacles in a human skin suit. Literally every single person I have ever heard, like there are people I've seen talk about him, knowing him in like high school, and like they all uniformly are just like, there's something deeply wrong with him, and he's always been like that. He's always been like kind of a grotesque freak when it comes to his ideological positions, you know? And so I think that it is worthwhile to pivot towards him, because there are other members of the Trump administration that can at least pretend to be competent, that can look like they're competent. There are other members that can like come across as, you know, in a pinch, sympathetic, you know? Stephen Miller is not one of those people. There's literally no light I've ever seen him under that like makes him look good, or like his body of work. And so I just think, you know, worth talking about when we're talking about how incompetent these people are, because I genuinely think for a lot of them, just talking about the incompetence is enough. For some of them, I think we need to highlight them in particular, like Stephen Miller, because otherwise he just kind of blends into the shadows. He's always looming around Donald Trump, puppeteering him. It's gross. I just think, again, I just want to read a few more of these quotes about Elon Musk, okay? Musk's unceremonious exit from government followed widespread reports that several senior Trump officials practically hated the tech billionaire, finding him abrasive, unfunny, and pompous, with some describing Musk as the, quote, most irritating person, unquote, they'd, quote, ever had to deal with, unquote. A senior Trump official told Rolling Stone, I have been in the same room with Elon, and he always tries to be funny. And he's not funny, like, at all. He makes these jokes and little asides and smiles and then looks almost hurt if you don't lap up his humor. I keep using the word annoying. A lot of people who have had to deal with him do. But the word doesn't do the situation justice. Elon just thinks he's smarter than everyone else in the room and acts like it, even when it's clear he doesn't know what he's talking about. And what an excellent way to portray not just Elon Musk, But that is almost every single person in the Trump administration, to a T. It's the same with RFK Jr. It's the same with all these different individuals that we've been talking about. It's the same with they seek out guys like this because guys like this, they pitch themselves as competent and they are loyal to a shocking degree because they know in their heart of hearts that they're incompetent. So they grasp onto power and try to hold it at all costs. Caroline Leavitt, Alina Habba, whose previous lawyering gig was representing her husband's parking lot company, before she became one of the most powerful lawyers in the Trump administration. It's endemic. It's endemic. There's no escaping this fatal flaw of the Trump administration. And I think talking about it is worthwhile. And frankly, I think for myself, at least, it breeds a little bit of hope. With that being said, remember, folks, get out there, keep going to those Tesla takedown protests. You can go to teslatakedown.com to find one near you, to join other people who are doing the same thing. Also, go to nokings.org and sign up to protest on June 14th. That is the next mass mobilization day across the United States to protest Donald Trump and his administration, what they're doing with their big, beautiful bill that will cut tens of millions of people off of healthcare. That's the day to mass mobilize, okay? That's what we're aiming for. It's Donald Trump's birthday. He's throwing a big, stupid parade about it. And we want to make the story and the narrative about the mass protests and not his stupid little parade. So if you want to shove it in that birthday boy's face, go to nokings.org and you can either host your own event if there's no local one near you, or you can join a local one. There's even a little kit of just different talking points if you want to pitch going to this protest to your friends, your family, your coworkers, etc. There's a lot of useful stuff over there. So again, nokings.org, sign up for that. It's very, very important. And also, folks, just to add to that, we need to push back against this budget bill. It's being sent to the Senate now. And that means it is now or never to call your senators. So use 5calls.org. I know for a fact that there is a script over there that you can use to base your comments to your senators on, but I know that there are some people out there who feel more comfortable if their senators are Democrats. Call whether your senator is a Democrat or a Republican. If you think your Republican senator is not getting enough push on this to oppose the bill, be the push. Get other people to call as well. Now is the time to oppose this. When is the Senate vote? Unknown at this time because they are going to be doing a line-by-line attempt to rewrite different parts of it, which is good news, by the way. A lot of senators in the Republican Party want to rewrite large portions of the bill that got passed in the House, which does mean that if it isn't outright killed in the House, it will then be bounced back to the House with the changes. So we still have chances before it gets signed into law. Do not be discouraged. If anything, make this part of your daily routine. Make it your daily routine to call your senators right now, and also make sure to incorporate faxes. You can use faxzero.com to fax your senators. I know a lot of senators have their phone lines clogged or whatever. Still leave a voicemail, but you can also fax them and get a physical sheet of paper into their office for free. You do not need a fax machine when you use faxzero.com. Let me pull it up just to kind of show you guys. Faxzero.com. Again, you can click fax your senator, and look at that. It has a whole list of different places.
I fax both every day, both about this bill and about the milking bill. It's utterly savage.
Suck it, Tanuki. Thank you for the 5 tier 1 subs. Appreciate the streaming subsidies you provide. Thank you for supporting the stream. It really does mean the world that you guys support this show. So with that being said, folks, check out faxzero.com, 5calls.org. And let's put as much pressure on them as we can. I know that there are some people going to be like, oh, but they won't listen to me. Blah, 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 blah. Do it anyway. Like, I have zero patience for this, like, whining, woe is me mentality. Now's not the time for that. That was a luxury of, like, the Biden age, okay? It's gone now. Do the things, and do not lose hope.
Riverboat Jack is coming to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube is where she streams. All that content is bursting the scenes. Politics, dating, plenty more. Her sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord. Riverboat Jack.